name is Ronald White, and I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to the Sunday morning, Never Too Early Big Book Workshop on Zoom. For those who care to, please join me in a moment of silence to remind us why we're here, for the alcoholic or addict who still suffers. Would you join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. This is the foreword as it appeared in the first printing of the first edition of the Big Book in 1939. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary. We think this account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person. And besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages for all. Now, it is the purpose of this workshop to experience the recovery process as outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, either for the first time or again, so we may better carry out and understand our primary purpose, to stay sober and carry the message to the still suffering alcoholic or addict. Now, we do this, as the Big Book suggests, as a group, in a 1.5-hour meeting, which includes a 15-minute group conscience. We have a different reader each week whose responsibility is to keep us on track with what is being read. The reader pauses at each paragraph for comments, questions, problems, and experiences with what was just read. Now, we're here to talk about recovery only and go through the 12-step process as outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, this is not an emotional or an intellectual exercise. This is a spiritual exercise so that we all can recover and experience that recovery process as we read it together. Crosstalk is allowed in a loving and supportive manner. Please try to relate your experiences only with your questions or your comments. Could you please repeat after me? Please, God, let us put aside everything we think we know about ourselves, our disease, this process, and you, God, for an open mind and a new experience. Amen.
Morning, everybody. My name is Ralph White. I am an alcoholic. Welcome to the Sunday morning Never Too Early Big Book Workshop, and I feel like a meeting. I'm kind of fired up. I'm down here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's been a great weekend. Hung out with some people. Got me ready to hang out with my crew. If you're new to this group, we want to welcome you and let you know that this is not a traditional meet. This is not a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's not a drop-in, just come in and share meeting. We share on exactly what was read in the book. We get to the point and we get out. We got a lot of members here. We welcome you. And if you're celebrating a birthday, this meeting, and look for us, that's yearly milestones only, put it in the chat and we'll be glad to celebrate your birthday with you at the end of this meeting. We are at the very beginning of the process. We've gone through the forewords and the preface, and now we are getting to the doctor's opinion. We're starting that this morning, and so now we are still in the Romans, guys. XXV, That's 25 for those of you fluent in Latin. And doctor's opinion, take it away, reader.
Good morning, Kelly Alcoholic. The doctor's opinion. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the sufferings of our members and have witnessed our return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specializing in alcoholic and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter.
Okay, so let's start with doctor's opinion. First, who is this doctor? The doctor referred to in the doctor's opinion is Dr. Williams Duncan Silkworth. And he's given his resume in this first paragraph. Interesting, when our book was written and it was being put together, right? One of the things that was discussed, or I imagined upon, is how are we going to open this book up? What are we going to do? As you guys know from the reading so far, the first 100 members of Alcoholics Anonymous were responsible for what's in here. And so when they said, let's put this out there, they said, well, we want to put out a volume that's going to appeal to the general public. And the first thing we want to do to give this book some legitimacy is not just put at the front of the book to open it up, Bill's story, which we could open up with. Parenthetically, originally we were going to open up with There's a Solution. But we could open up with Bill's story. But why don't we come out with, bunch of drunks writing this. Let's come out of the chute with somebody who's going to give this book some credibility and some legitimacy, an impartial third party, as it were, and that's a doctor. Who better than a doctor? Well, we got some lawyers on here. We got some people who've been in court, and you can go buy your expert witness if you want to, any quack off the street corner. Well, this is not just some quack off the street corner. The doctor says, okay, so now we get a doctor, his CV, a well-known doctor, chief physician. Oh, not just some guy that's hanging out a shingle on a corner, clinic. Chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital. Oh my God, this guy might know what he's talking about. And then check this out, you guys. He's not only the chief physician at this nationally prominent hospital, this hospital specializes in what? Alcoholic and drug addiction. Dude knows what he's about. So now we got a guy that's coming out giving what, and when you see a doctor, what do you go to the doctor and see? Well, you go to the doctor, generally speaking, when we go to a medical doctor, we know that there's something physical involved. Firsthand about this thing we're dealing with. Something physical is involved in this. We're not talking about just going to see a shrink or a psychologist. We're going to see a medical doctor. Must be something physical we're going to talk about. That's number one. And the other thing in the doctor, when I go see a doctor, he gives his opinion. He gives his diagnosis. So now the doctor's opinion, this doctor's diagnosis of what it is that's wrong with those of us sitting in these squares. Ronnie, come on.
Ronald White, alcoholic. The other thing I wanted to point out is that when the doctor is giving his opinion, or I should say when they're writing, because this isn't the doctor writing this paragraph, this is the members of Alcoholics Anonymous writing this paragraph, describing what the doctor is going to say. And one of the things that they talk about is that this convincing testimony has to come from somebody who have not only had experience with the sufferings, but also witnessed the return to health. I don't want to see somebody that just saw either the before picture or somebody who just saw the after picture. If you're going to tell me about a diet plan that's successful, I want to know that you observed the person when they were overweight, and then you observed the person implement the plan, then you saw the results of the implementation of the plan. So convincing testimony has to come from a doctor who not only see us in our condition now, but who saw when we were messed up. And so they're telling us that Dr. Silkworth is going to be somebody who had this kind of observation, the ability to see, and somebody who's going to give the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in the book. What do doctors think? What does this doctor think about this plan we're talking about medically? What does he think the outcome of the implementation of this plan described in the book is going to be? And so that's what Dr. Silkworth, that's what we're going to be hearing in the doctor's opinion.
And we believe that everybody here, we believe the people who get this book will be interested in that. You know, be interested, not just in what the drunks themselves are saying, but we believe they'll be interested in this other piece. Why would, and okay, y'all believe that. As we read the doctor's opinion, let's pin that on our board mentally and see, am I interested in what this doctor has to say? We've exhausted this pretty well. David, I'm gonna give you a short leash. Come on in here.
Thank you. I'm David. I'm an alcoholic. I really appreciate you all. Just referring to our forward to the first editions, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered. That paragraph is two of the greatest promises that this program offers. So when they use the word we, they're presenting those people, as you shared, with that information. We think this is valuable information for you to hear, and will you listen to it? And maybe it's like a flimsy read at the first beginning, you're not too sure, you're confused about this and that, you're mocus and all that. But I think that the beautiful thing is where it says to whom it may concern, you should put to David. Thank you.
Reader?
To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless.
So it's a couple of things going on when we read the doctor's opinion, and it's in two parts. The first part is a letter. And this letter was written when Bill first set out about trying to get funding for this book. And he was going out and he was hustling and he was going to places. And he asked for a letter he could take to people. And the doctor was kind enough to give this letter. And he talks about, so they asked him for this, and he gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. To whom it may concern. Okay, going out to these people that wasn't AA at the time, but that Bill was going out and soliciting. We were trying to get donations, trying to get funds, trying to get help, trying to get somebody to back us in the writing of the book. So doctor says, I specialize in the treatment of alcoholism, repeating what was said up in the previous paragraph. In 1934, I attended a patient. The patient he attended in late 1934 was Bill Wilson. And he had come to regard him. He said this guy, even though he had been a guy, had good earning capacity. The doctor had come to regard Bill Wilson as hopeless. Really, again, I'm going to say this. I know you guys are going to get tired of me. We get people who drop in and come in, and we get new people, particularly new people. And people who are new to the book. You know, a lot of us, this is old information. A lot of us is brand new information. So I appreciate you guys' indulgence that we go through this, you know, for the people who are brand new. And you guys just are patient with us when we repeat information that you already know. Reader?
In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered.
One of the things I liked about the paragraph when I first read it, of this particular paragraph, it's evident that Bill Wilson was a relapser, because the doctor talks about in the course of his third treatment. So Bill did not recover immediately. Bill has been in and out of the hospital. We'll see later in Bill's story, we'll see this. We'll see the evidence of him coming back and forth to Towns Hospital where Dr. Silkworth is. So they say that Bill, you notice that the doctor doesn't say in here that he gave Bill certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. He said when Bill came in for his third treatment, Bill had acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. And then as part of his rehabilitation, and I identify rehabilitation as being something, I broke my wrist a couple of years ago. And after I'd had surgery for the breaking of my wrist, they sent me to what was called vocational rehabilitation. I had to go for exercise. I got a nice little scar here. I had to go there and they had me squeezing this ball. I had a little weight that I had to be picking up. As part of my bringing myself back to full health, I had to participate in a means of treatment to continue becoming well. As part of Bill's continued treatment, he commenced to present his conceptions, the ideas he had acquired. He commenced to present these to other alcoholics. Later in the doctor's opinion, we'll hear some more about this thing of Bill asking permission to present his ideas to other patients. A patient talking to other patients. Amazing concept, right? I'm gonna leave some more meat on the bone because I see a Kendall coming in. So I'm gonna shut up right now. Now let somebody else talk.
Kendall?
My name is Kendall Alcoholic. Hey, I wanted to just look at the paragraph above. It said, number one, he was a patient, meaning that he needed some help, and he came to ask for help. And then it kind of spoke to my ego. It said, a competent businessman. And I said, well, I was competent at one time, so that caught my attention. And it said, of a good earning capacity. I remember spending my whole check over and over again on dope. And I remember thinking I'm not that bad. And I remember saying I could handle this on my own. And then, it comes up. It says alcoholic. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm ready to admit that. Or I don't know if I'm really all that. What he's saying and what the doctor sees in me. But when he says, am I the type that I regard as hopeless? Meaning that he had been trying on his own and it didn't work. So he finally came and asked for help. And I really got in touch with hopeless, meaning that there's nothing in me that's letting me be able to handle this on my own. So I got to go ask a doctor. I got to go become a patient now. And hopeless mean I'm at the end of myself. I got to go get a doctor now. That's all.
Victor?
I just want to ask a question. Did you really break your wrist like I broke my wrist?
Sit down. Solomon? Ronald?
Ronald addict, alcoholic too. And I was just, I just want, you talked about share for the new people. And know a lot of times things are repeated. But one of the things for me when I first started in this process is that I didn't want to identify as an alcoholic.
We're not there, Ronald. Stop it.
Let me finish, please.
Get in this paragraph, sir.
I am in this paragraph because the word alcoholism, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't really comprehend and completely understand that that is the behavior. And I had the behavior of an alcoholic, even as a crackhead, and I didn't know the difference. So I really wasn't looking at the similarities. I really was looking at the differences in the very beginning. And I looked at those differences for over 5 years. And I just want the new people who may not be considering themselves alcoholics, that smoke crystal meth, that's on marijuana, that's having problems, should be looking at the similarities of alcoholism. Thank you.
Albert?
Hello, family. My name is Albert. I'm an addict.
Hey, Albert.
When I work with my sponsees to give them a kind of an idea of what hopeless is, I made up an acronym. And the acronym is having obvious personal evidence, losing everything, still stuck. And that kind of gave them the idea of how hopelessness manifests itself in our lives, you know, that we're still stuck. And so that's how I get my sponsees to kind of get an understanding of what hopeless looks like. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we're eager, you guys. Come on, Edith. Edith? We lost Edith. Okay, Norm.
Norm, I'm a grateful, happy, recovering alcoholic. I was just thinking what a predicament this must be to Bill. He goes to the chief physician, the specialist in addiction. And the specialist says, Bill, you're hopeless. What a feeling that must have been for him.
Okay, so I'm gonna herd these cats all back in a row. Okay, I'm gonna put my policeman's hat on. And I'm gonna just, I'm glad that everybody gives me permission for us to stay on track where we are. At this point, you guys, we're not really in Bill's story. At this point, we are not really into what hopelessness looks like for me. I know we want to grab on to the words. What we want to do right now is read the doctor's letter. What we want to glean from this, put your hand out, Al. We're not taking more hands on this. What we want to glean from this is, what is the doctor saying to us right now about, and right now he's giving us background for his statement. I know, because it is so enticing to jump in right now. You know what? We got a whole lot of time when we're going to talk about what hopelessness looks like. We got a whole lot of time we're going to talk about what happened to Bill Wilson at the end of his drinking. We are going to examine that. We're not going to do it in paragraph 2 of the letter the doctor is writing. What the doctor is saying is, he giving us some background. Check this out. When I wrote the letter, I wrote this letter based on the fact that I saw this dude for the 3rd time. And this guy, I'm going to tell you about this guy. This guy that I saw had acquired some information. And Ronnie already covered that. And so the doctor says, as part of the rehabilitation, this guy told me he started working with other people, telling them that they need to work with other people like he did. That is the basis of a fellowship that's growing. This dude and over 100 people appear to have recovered. Wow. So the doctor is baselining this letter that he's writing to these people. Right now, I'm not finding myself. That's not what we're doing right now. Okay? We're not looking for ourselves in this letter. What we're looking at is this doctor is writing a letter of recommendation about Alcoholics Anonymous. We'll lose that, and we'll lose sight of that if we get into the thinking of, oh my God, this I'm trying to find myself in the letter. We'll do that, you guys, as we proceed. But the doctor is doing just like when you get a letter of recommendation, if you're going on a job and you had a former employer, or if you get a character reference when you go into court, this is Alcoholics Anonymous letter of recommendation from the doctor. Let's see what the doctor is saying to recommend us. Reader?
I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely.
So far the doctor is saying he saw a guy, and he says this guy came upon a program that seems to be working with these other drugs. Guess what? I've worked with people like that, had never seen anything like it before. Now he says, I know scores of cases who were the type with whom other methods have failed completely. Wow, he's talking us up. These people are doing something that personally, I know scores of people that had never had any hope for recovery before. Reader?
These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance. Because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group, they may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations.
Go ahead.
You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Very truly yours, William D. Silkworth, MD.
And I think what Ralph said earlier about the purpose of this letter, the purpose being that of trying to get people to back this effort that Bill and them had found, trying to get people to invest and what have you. This is the part of the letter that says, hey, look, these cats have something that are so important, have such medical importance, because look at their whole plan is based on one person helping another. And so the possibilities of them growing, right, of them really becoming big, you need to invest in it, because they're a stock that's going to rise. That the growth that's inherent, built into their plan of recovery, of success, is the fact that they're going to mark a new era. That's what epic means. A new era in the history. That's what annals mean. A new era in the history of alcoholism. They may have something that can remedy the cases of thousands of other people. If this ain't a sales, if this not a letter to get people to kick in, right? That the whole purpose of the thing is evident right there. In that last line, you may rely absolutely on anything. Dr. Silkworth is putting his neck out there. He says you may rely absolutely on anything they say, not just that they say about themselves, right? And so extremely powerful backing by Dr. Silkworth.
Aisha?
I'm an addict. I really love that bit of the letter, because the bit where he says over 100 of others appear to have recovered, and I personally know scores of cases. To me, that says that he's saying medically recognised treatment hasn't worked, but following the program has. and that he's saying that it's significant medically, and like you say, that it should grow and can reach people. But I like that because he's sort of saying, he's admitting defeat. He's saying, I've tried, I identified them as hopeless, but here's this program and they appear to have recovered.
Pamela?
Good morning, never too early. I'm Pamela and I'm an alcoholic. Always good to be in this house, and thank you. I'm a geek. I could take one word and just stay on it, but what I love, or the part that blows my hair back today, is the humility that Dr. Silkworth had. He's like, talk about this dude that relapsed, like Ronnie said, and he's saying, you can believe what he said? I'm a doctor, and Dr. Silkworth, I could go into why he ended up being there at Towns Hospital and yada, 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 but the part that he says, these facts appear to be of extreme medical importance. Well, how's that? Bill's coming with a spiritual solution. He's coming with an altruistic, I must help somebody. He's coming with a source of solution that, isn't medical. We can't explain it in medically. We can say we have an allergy of the body. We can say we have an illness of our mind. But he's talking about this spiritual solution that Bill's kicking, and he's saying it's of extreme medical importance. Wow, and then even though he's begun to embrace the things that he doesn't even understand, he says you may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Bill was able to exact a solution that Dr. Silkworth was studying and trying to, and it wasn't until Bill came with that piece to Dr. Bob, was like, yo, check this out, man. I know why you doing what you do, that we are here, sitting here today. Ralph, thank you for continuing to carry the message, you and Ronnie and Reggie. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Okay, and again, I'm going to caution us. We have not gotten into allergy. We've not gotten into phenomena of craving. We've really not gotten into the meeting between the Akron physician and the doctor. I know you guys are so damn knowledgeable. I know you're chomping at the bit. This is the first piece. The doctor is going to extend on his what he's saying in this letter, and we're going to we chop that up. So I'm putting us on a short leash because we getting ahead of where it is that we are, because we happen to already know some stuff, right? So you guys don't get mad at me, but I'm going to slow walk us through so that the people who have not done this already, will get the benefit of seeing it as it unfolds, as opposed to us already jumping ahead, because we already know how this story goes. Anybody? So thank you. We got so many hands for this little bit. I'm not going to take everybody either. We got way too many hands I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. But we on a short leash. We ain't read that much. So you guys stay inside of the lines, please. Derek.
Derek Alcoholic, what up, my people? What up, y'all? Y5. What's going on? Thank you so much, Ralph, for the lead, and Ronald and everybody else doing service in this meeting. The gift of this letter for me was to see how the medical fraternity talks about us. To me, Silky was writing this letter to the medical fraternity to give them a picture of exactly what's taking place in front of his eyes, as he specialized with a whole bunch of us. I heard he worked with like 40,000 alcoholics, and not just that, but I read this book called Slaying the Dragon. And Slaying the Dragon talks about all the different methods they use to treat alcoholisms before the APUC of Alcoholics Anonymous, before the annals of the fellowship. And I mean, they used to do some crazy, insane things to some crazy, insane people. And here Silky is telling us, before the United States even endorsed alcoholism as a disease or an illness, Silky is given a description of what he put his blood, sweat, and tears into in working directly with a guy like me. Thanks for letting me share.
No more hands after Kelly. Dion?
Hello, everyone. Hello, family. This is Dion R. from Ohio. Dion R. from Ohio. Very grateful to see you all. And it reminds, thank you, bro. Because I'm still in the age of learning. I still want to learn and stay clean. And when I get into this, it's just related to educational part of it. That's the part where I could relate my family, if that makes sense. My uncle was a great educator, right? He believed in education, as I do too, right? And
Dion, you're muted.
oh, okay. So, okay. Can you hear me now? Until my uncle, he believed, as I was saying, he's a great educator, a professor, but he also believed in spiritual growth and spiritual healing, yada, yada. I should get it done in church. You don't have to go to those groups, whatever. But when I showed him that part in the book about what the doctor's opinion was, like, he opened his ears open, and he encouraged me to keep going. And to this day, and I just want to say that to me ties with Dr. Silkworth putting a validation on like, dude, which is my uncle was an educator in that same science. He was like, we done all we can. We tried. But whatever they doing is working. So anyway, I just wanted to tie that with family happening to me and how what the doctor's opinion meant to my family. We gave it validation that encouraged me and countless others in our family to continue on this road. And with that, I hope that makes sense. That's all like that. Bye.
Thank you. Bernie?
Hi, I'm Bernie, alcoholic. Thank you for taking the meeting and everything you do. Just that last line, you may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. It strikes me that Dr. Silkwood was seeing nothing but low bottom drunks. I mean, really multiple admissions to hospital, multiple collisions with the judicial system, absolute wrecks of human beings who broke the hearts of everybody who gave a damn about them. And people who were at the absolute end. And yet he's able to say, you may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. For me, that transition is extraordinary, that he saw something brand new. And it just marks the power of it for me. Just what that experience must have been like for him as a physician. It's one of my favorite lines. And I always draw this when I'm working with people on step one, that is that something they can do right now? And is that something they would like people to understand about them? I love that line. Thank you.
Jeffrey.
There you go, Jeff. So a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Great to be here. And this paragraph or two describe exactly my story. I was hopeless. I was dying. And then through a certain strain of events, I'm sitting across the table of another alcoholic. And I don't even know what's wrong with me. But it probably took about 5 minutes where I just looking at this guy, my sponsor today, Mr. Marty J, saying, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about, even though I don't even know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? It was the guy was sober 41 years and he wrote me in. So the doctor's opinion, these two few paragraphs, it's like my friend Ronnie is talking about it. It marked a new era in my little sensitive life. It totally did.
Jacob.
Hey, I'm Jacob. I'm an alcoholic. I always ask newcomers who I'm reading the book with, is there anybody out there who would say that there is that you can rely absolutely on anything that you say about yourself? It's a good question for newcomers. I also do a lot of work in treatment centers. And, if you've been in a treatment center ever, treatment center patients aren't known for being completely honest. So I think it's remarkable that a staff member, a non-alcoholic staff member of a treatment center, is saying about former patients of his treatment center this statement. I think that's the most remarkable because this is a non-alcoholic dude who's basically putting his whole professional career on the line about full of crap patients in treatment centers. I think that's remarkable.
Bill?
Good morning. I'm an alcoholic named Bill. In the interest of transparency, I get very nervous when I share on here just because Ralph has a leash on me. But number one, Silkworth wasn't so convinced of our credibility. He didn't put his name. His name was omitted in the first edition, the personal name. And second of all, the first letter that we're reading now was written 3.5 years after Bill Wilson was sober, and there were a lot more. And I say that to say this. When Carl Jung had told Roland here and there once in a while, if Bill Wilson was the only alcoholic who had this experience, this letter wouldn't be here. But 3.5 years later, there was evidence that what he had worked. So sometimes we celebrate Bill rather than the experience of 3.5 and then 4.5 years of history with a lot of other stuff that took place to bring these many aggregate of recoveries into view. And then he signed his letter later, probably after he was dead. Love you, Ralph. Thank you.
Chris?
My name's Chris. I'm an addict. Thanks for the meeting and to eat. The extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group, and it's kind of echoing what's being said, that these people that seem to have appeared, they appear to have recovered, but in the growth, the extraordinary growth. I won't go further than that. It's not. We will see the extraordinary. We heard about some of the extraordinary growth actually in the forwards, and that's just the members. That's not the families and people with, and then you may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves, not about what I tell you to do and what I think you should do. And if you don't do this, maybe they don't do. No, tell you what, about myself, it's powerful. It's powerful. Silky. Yes. Thank you. I'll leave it there.
Kelly?
Hi, Kelly Alcoholic. What I find interesting about this, and so we know this is an endorsement, you've said he's Silkworth sticking his neck out here. Second to last paragraph says, these facts appear to be of extreme medical importance, these facts. But right before that, he says, this man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. So I'm just interested in that jump between the appear to the facts. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. So Silkworth writes this letter. And in this letter, and it's interesting when we think about it, he saw a dude, and we're going to read extensively about this when we read Bill's story in particular. And then when Silkworth goes on his statement, we're going to see some more of it. But he sees a guy that was a hopeless drunk, like many of us. And then he sees this guy, and as Bill Swan pointed out, when Silkworth wrote this letter, he wrote this letter July 27th of 1938. So that was some almost 4 years, 3.5 years after he saw Bill Wilson that third time at Towns Hospital. And so in that period of time, he saw this guy that had the experience in the hospital that asked him, can I talk to some patients in this hospital? Bill Wilson asked Dr. Silkworth that, and Dr. Silkworth allowed him to. And over the course of the next years, Dr. Silkworth said, I've seen this guy and about 100 others, recover. And he said they're part of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. Wow, that's a big deal. And he says he's seen scores of people that were like this guy who had not recovered. But when this guy came around with this program of action that some people had shared with him, it impressed the doctor. It impressed the doctor so much that he went way out on a limb. Now, I know some of y'all, Victor and I shouldn't start naming names, but I'm gonna go to the way outers, you know. Yeah, Chris F., I'm looking at you, Bill, you know, Monique, oh my God, Monique, and then Pamela with her fast talking. And all y'all stepped to me and said, Ralph, check this out. We want to do something. Will you vouch for us? Wait a minute. Will I vouch for you? Yeah, we want to go down here and we want to start a business, or we want to start a company, or we want to start an enterprise, or we want to give an event, or would you write a letter for us and put your name on the line? Because you know these people. They don't know us. They don't know us. We raggedy, we coming in, you know. The people that know us, like, hell no. Get your, don't come around my house no more. Get off my property. Stay off my lawn, goddamn. That's the people that know us, that's how they know us. But you know us in another way. And we all sitting in your little office, Ralph, and we saying, God damn, Pam, Victor, Jacob, Bill, Tom Smallwood, what? Y'all want me to go out on the limb? And the doctor, check this out. These people, knuckleheads, you know, town drunks, you know, people that were fired unceremoniously, walked out, just all of that. And the doctor says, this is why, you guys, I believe when people say our program is spiritually and divinely inspired, it's for a lot of reasons. And one of them is that not only did the doctor, something touched him, because it wasn't a long track record, you guys. This could have been a fly-by-night. This could have been, you know, just a flash in the pan. This could have been something that seemed like it was going to work, but it didn't have staying power. But something in these people, because it still wasn't a lot of time that it passed, but something in these people, not only the evidence of what they had done, but I believe there was something, and we know it firsthand, because we are in it and experiencing. Something goes on that's bigger than the people themselves. And the doctor said, I'm down. I'm gonna write y'all this letter. Wow. Doctor said, I'm gonna write y'all this letter. I'm gonna go out on the line, because the people recognize William Duncan Silkworth. They don't recognize Bill Wilson. They don't recognize Pop Smith. They don't recognize Fitz Mayo. They don't recognize Paul Stamp. They don't recognize these people. They recognize William Duncan Silkworth. And I'm gonna put it out there. Wow. And the doctor gave him the letter. And the coldest, the piece though, that's the real piece is, and they didn't let him down. And we didn't let him down. Wow. We didn't let him down. Reader?
The physician who at our request gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe, that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality or were outright mental defectives. These things were true to some extent, in fact, to a considerable extent with some of us, but we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete.
Now we're getting in it. Al? You muted that.
I got my little hall pass. I had to wait. Thank you, Ralph. I almost unmuted Al, an alcoholic. I almost unmuted for less than 500 people, and you know I have a 500 minimum. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested. This amazing first page 25, this amazing amuse-bouche, speckled and peppered with these fantastic bullet points. Every paragraph has a gorgeous little bullet point to attract me in. Am I truly interested? What level of interest do I have? Am I more interested than when I got here or less interested? Am I losing interest? Do I give a shit? More so than when I first got here. It's infectious, my level of interest, and I'm trying to entice others to this level of interest. I'll go to the current paragraph because that's what we do here. Yes, outright mental defect. Yes, maladjusted to life. Is that in this paragraph? No. Let's do suffered from alcoholic torture. That's the one when I'm going through this book, I take a nice pause. Does that apply to me? Fuck yeah. Does that apply to you? I don't know. Am I interested in something that might help my alcoholic torture? The admission price here is a mother. It's a mother to get in here. Do I want to keep paying the admission price? No, I'm a cheap Jew. I raised my hand last week of one of the 9 Jews in the room. And this is the voice of the Jew who says, one admission price enough for me. One is enough. I don't need to keep paying the same admission price. Let's go to the movies. I got my popcorn. Let's get out of the lobby. I am interested in what's going down here. Check his face now, Alicia. Look at him, ear to ear. I love you people.
Monique?
Good morning, never too early. My sobriety date is July 10th, 2017. And I want the focus to stay in the paragraph because we ain't nowhere else people get. It says, but we are sure that our body was sickened. See, when you go see a doctor, he can see what the other people can't see. When I came in here, this was what you all saw. Guess what? To show you what it showed when it mean what happened. This is what had happened to me with alcohol. Alcohol had burned me up. I had been in a fire. So when I came in here, all people saw was, wow, she down there smiling and this. But I was burned. I was seeing the doctor. So when I heard the doctor said this was why, I'm going to take a sip. The fire didn't hurt. Me drinking tequila and the turkey fried did. Newcomers, keep coming back. And run, I can't take you out, but you will get your answer. I love you. Thanks for the share.
Doug?
My name's Doug Rell. I'm a grateful alcoholic. And every time I see this paragraph, it makes me laugh because Bill says, the doctor who gave us his letter is kind enough to enlarge upon his views, say another statement. And I think Dr. Silkworth wrote exactly what he wanted to write in that first letter without going, but I could, Bill was a salesman. I'm sure he went back, Silky, look, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your endorsement of our program, of me personally, and it's great. It's going to give us a lot of credibility. But you didn't mention the allergy of the body and the obsession of the mind and the spiritual bankruptcy that we're practicing, the admission of complete defeat, that's part of our program and meditation and prayer and our restitution for our wrongs. all these things that actually are our program. And I really appreciate it if you could expand on that, and give us, and I can just see something with you. Okay, what the fuck? Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll do it. Leave me alone. Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, that's the way I see it, but I'm kind of a skeptic. Thanks for letting me share.
Gloria?
Good morning, everybody. Gloria, alcoholic and addict. And I was just, you guys, those of you guys that know me, I got so full just listening to the Dr. Silkworth, just to start that to who it may concern. At the time when I first came into the program, April 4th, 1999, I was hopeless. And so in reading this gave me the hope that I would, it was just like the doctor was talking about, and he was talking about the people in the fellowship. He was talking about this fellowship, and he says that you could absolutely depend on everything these people said. At that time, I needed to depend on you guys. And so that offered me so much hope, right? Because, and then we went on to reading it, talking about me being maladjusted. Everything that this book had said was me, right? And so it came alive immediately for me. And so every time I read this, I'm thinking about, did you guys see what they said? They said that you could depend on these people. That's the way when I first heard it. And from that day to this day, it's been the same thing. I can absolutely depend on you guys. So for the new person, when this comes alive to you, you'll understand what I'm saying. You may not get it now, but you will understand if you've had one of those or several of those WWAs. By the time you hear this, you will understand what I'm saying. Thank you, Ron.
Marianne?
Good morning. So one thing that keeps jumping out to me is like, it did not satisfy me that instead of keep saying us and to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life. And honestly, when I came in, that's just what I felt. And it says that we cannot be satisfied. I was kind of satisfied and accepted the fact that I was a screw up and my life was what it was. And I didn't realize why people had problems with it. But on the other end of coming into the program, this gave me hope that, yes, that starts to go into the fact that there's something wrong with my body. It's not just my choices. It's just not my actions all the time. Yes, they needed to be cleared up and changed, but my body is sick as well, as it says. And that's it. Thank you.
Mike Mack.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Michael, and I'm a great recovering alcoholic and crackhead. And this chapter right here, really helped me early on because it relating to my experience that every time I would go to prison and I would parole and I'm coming home on that bus and I got that gate money, right? And the closer I get to LA, the closer I get to downtown, physically my body starts to react. I start getting bubble gut. And everything, man, is like I'm tensed up, waiting for that next one. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Ronnie?
Yes, Ralph said something earlier, and we kind of reiterated during these early portions of the book sometime, which is there are things that jump out that will tempt me or make me want to share ahead of where we are in the book, because there's so much here, and I want to share about my experience with it and where I am now, but there's this temptation that we will pull back and try to pull back to stay directly where we are in the paragraph. And right here, Bill has kind of done the jumping ahead thing with this paragraph, because Bill is now previewing what we're about to read already. The doctor is going to write about some things, and Bill has given us an idea of what those things are going to be. Would be better probably if he just let the doctor go ahead and say it, and then we'll talk about it afterwards, right, Doug? But instead, Bill, so in jumping the gun, Bill just writes a couple of things that jump out at me, which is, Bill says, it didn't satisfy us because back in their day, psychiatric reasons were what people attributed alcoholism to, that you must be crazy if you drink the way that you do. You drink insane and you keep doing all that. And Bill says that the doctor, first of all, he said, it didn't satisfy us just to be told that we were crazy, even though we were, right? He said, even though these things were true, in fact, to a great extent, but he said, but we are sure that our bodies are sickened just as well. The doctor is going to write about that. He's going to expand on it in the next paragraph, but let's try to stay where we are in the book and not go too far ahead, because there's going to be plenty to share about when Dr. Silkworth actually starts doing the writing.
So in this paragraph, there are some things that jump out that are going to be instructive for us moving forward. And one of them is, it says, Bill says, in this statement, the one that's coming up from the doctor, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe. In reading this book, you guys, as we go through it, it'll be a lot of aha moments. It'll be a lot of light bulbs. It'll be a lot of things, but damn, I never thought of that. But more moments, it'll be a lot of those, but guess what? It'll probably be more moments that are not, this is new news, but this is, when I hear it, I realize it. It's not like I had ever thought about it, but it's not new news, but it's like, oh shit. So he says it confirms. Now, I never thought about it. I didn't know that I knew it because I didn't know I knew it. So it's so much like that that's in the book. You know what I'm saying? There's stuff that I didn't know I knew, but it makes sense when I hear it put that way. So it's not new news. So one of the things is, he says, it confirms what we who have, and Al brought this up, we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe. Have I suffered alcoholic torture? You know, and that looks different on different people, and we don't have to spend a lot of time with what it looks like on me, but have I been in the place where my mind was kicking my ass? Have I been in the place where my body, a lot of people physically DTs, physical alcoholic torture, you know, a lot of times, you know, praying to the porcelain guy, you know, up in there early in the bathroom. They knock you at a party, they knocking on the door, let me in, and you, this my bathroom. Tiles feeling alcohol, that didn't feel torture, but torture is, you know, it comes in so many different ways for so many different people. Have I suffered alcoholic torture? Yeah. Then that statement confirms something for me, that my body is abnormal. I didn't know that. I hadn't thought about that. But when it talks about confirming it, it's not saying, okay, Ralph, you know, damn, this is, I'm like, wait a minute. I hadn't thought about it, but let's see. So when the doctor talks about this coming up, you guys, let me ask myself, okay, does that explain some things that I can get beyond this business of, so this is the first introduction for many of us to the idea that it's something physically different about me. Something physically wrong with me. Ronnie talked about in those days, it was shrink. In these days, if I don't come to recovery, almost everybody thinks what's wrong with me for spending all my money is that's in my mind. I changed my mind. How come I'm so stupid? What would make me keep doing that shit? How come I'm so weak-willed? I can't keep my word. I can't show up. So this is the first time it's introduced. Well, it's something physically different. Let's put that on the board, you guys, moving forward. There's something physically different about me, that my body is as abnormal as my mind. Really? I always suspected something wrong with you, your thinking, something wrong with you. Now, I didn't think I was crazy. I thought I was smart, but I thought it was somebody as smart as me. How come I can't come home with no money out my paycheck, every paycheck? You know, how come I do the stupid shit that I do? How come, you know, so I'm in the same predicaments over and over and over. Why can't I keep my word to myself? What's wrong with me? And so I thought it was in my head. I thought it was my willpower. So it didn't satisfy me to be told I couldn't control my drinking justice. So it doesn't say, sometimes people misread this and say, this is what it said. What it's saying is, these things, maladjusted to life, always feeling apart from, feeling less than, feeling like I don't fit in, feeling socially awkward, feeling like other people have the answers that I don't have to the test. That's maladjusted to life. You know, full flight from reality. Man, I'm not even, no, it's them. It's everybody else. I don't see the truth about my situation. You know, I was in outright mental defectives. Okay, but it's got to be something more than that. It's got to be something more than that. Because on a sunny day, with none of this stuff on my mind, with none of these things that I think are going against me, just no cloud on the horizon, something happens, and I go again and spend this whole paycheck. Or I go again when I'm getting ready to have a good outcome and I can't show up because it's something else wrong with me that keeps me sitting here when I'm supposed to go home. I just said I'm gonna go to happy hour. So something else is wrong with me. I'm suspecting that, but I'm sure that, so now he's saying these things were true to a certain extent. A considerable extent with some, but as we are sure, I'm not. So let me turn that into a question for myself as we read. Am I sure that my body was sickened as well? That's an interesting concept. Had not thought about that. Bill is suggesting that something wrong with your body, Ralph. Our belief, any picture, let me say this again, where you at God's property, all Alaska Addiction, all our treatment centers that are here, our belief, any picture of the alcoholic that leaves out the physical factor is incomplete. We're going to start spending a lot of time on the physical factor. Reader.
The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may, of course, mean little, but as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account.
And like Ronnie said, you know, Bill is saying some stuff, but we don't know the doctor's theory yet. So Bill has put some stuff out here that has not been presented to us. We're going to remember when he says this, the doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. Allergy is an abnormal reaction. The doctor is going to tell us in this statement he makes, he's going to describe how this allergy shows up. Okay? So the doctor's going to describe how this allergy shows up. He says, and then hold this in when the doctor says this, you guys, think about it. Bill says, our opinion as this soundness may mean little. Okay. When we read that doctor's theory about this allergy, evaluate it for yourself. But that may not mean a lot. But as ex-problem drinkers, let's see if his explanation makes good sense. Let's see if this doctor's theory about Ralph having this allergy, let's see if it explains things for which I cannot otherwise account. That's one of my favorite sentences in this book. And when we get in the doctor's opinion, I'm going to tell you why. Reader?
Though we work out our solution on the spiritual as well as an altruistic plane, we favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery or befogged. More often than not, it is imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached, as he has then a better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer.
This obviously refers to detox, the detox process possibly being necessary, of some process of removal of the substance from a person's system so that their head can be cleared so that they can now accept and understand the information that's going to be presented.
So we work out our solution. Oh, go ahead. Ronald, you ain't double dipping yet. So you told you save your bullets. So we work out our solution on a spiritual as well as an altruistic plane. So this is a spiritual program, and Gloria might have put it in the chat for those who are not familiar with that word. We do it for free. We don't do it for pay. We work on our solution. We do it for free. There are people who work in treatment. That is not the same as being members of our fellowship. And we encourage people. And as we go through this process, we will always go through that. When you have on your employee hat in working in treatment, do not confuse that with your membership hat as a member in the fellowship of a 12-step program, working for fun and for free. T?
Good morning, Teresa Alcoholic. I appreciate the doctor's opinion, this doctor. We read a lot. I'm just thinking about, I go through the forward and I look at how many thousands of books are all over the place. This is like a movie where you I don't know, it got me moving in a certain direction. You know what I mean? And I can, even my insides to this day, even with 34 years of looking at this, and my insides are like, my brain is like, it's adjusting internally my whole perception to everything. To everything. It's kind of having me consider things, maybe answer some things. I'm going, what? It's a what? And then you're going to tell me after they threw a whole bunch of stuff like that endorsement letter and everything, then they're going to come and go, your brain needs to be defogged. So right now, if my brain ain't been defogged yet, what y'all just read don't really sink in. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, oh shit, then relax. I swear, I remember when I was new, I read that and I was like, okay, relax. I need my brain to defog first before I can grasp everything that y'all just said. Maybe that's what's going on with me right now. Okay, I could breathe. You know what I'm saying? Okay, take it easy. It's, it's almost about, it is not intellectual exercise. Y'all say that before. It's a spiritual one. So as I read, can I have kind of like a spiritual experience, I guess? Can I, that's what I was reading. It's like, oh, my brain needs to be defogged is why I was like hearing Charlie Brown there for a minute. Wah, 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 wah. And then, it's imperative that my brain be cleared. And along the way, I think it will, that more and more of what we're now approaching will become revealed. I think if anything, it just has me intrigued, and I'm feeling a little safe. You told me to trust what these people have to say, and I think it lends itself to that, preparing me for where we're going. And I've always said I appreciate that. I believe the Big Book has respected me. For the first time I felt in my life I was being respected in the way in which it began to talk to me. And so I'm reminded of that again this morning. Thank you all.
Elizabeth?
Hey, sorry I can't be on camera yet. I'm Elizabeth Alcoholic. I have a question. So that statement, we believe a man's brain must be cleared before he can accept what we have to offer. And then later in the working with others, it says, talk to him about his drinking first. Don't talk to him about the solution until he asks for help. And I'm wondering, in our group, we get a lot of people who are drunk coming to the meeting, after the meeting. And I was taught, Wait till tomorrow morning. Try to get them to call you before they start for the day. Don't spend a lot of time on them while they're drunk. And I wondered what your all's thoughts were about that. How much do you try to talk to someone who shows up and they're still drinking? Or how much do you not? Thanks.
That's an interesting question that Elizabeth asked. I know we're almost out of time. I think the statement said that the person is best. You get the best results when a person is not jittery or befogged, that they be cleared. And so you can talk to somebody when they're drunk. I think most of us on here can attest to the fact that we probably best retain stuff when we don't have nothing in our system. And when Bill Wilson was first talked to when he was drinking, but later Ebby came to the hospital and talked to him when Bill was getting the stuff out of his system to get it. So I just think that that's a testament that it's best when the person has the stuff out of their system.
Yes, and in all spiritual matters, case by case, no cookie cutter. And damn, Elizabeth brought that when we are out of time too. Well, a minute or I don't know where that went. I thought, oh, see how much fun we have when we have it. Thank you guys. First man's hand I see we'll read next week. Nobody wants to read? Okay, Gonzalo. You got your hand in there first. Show up a little early. Let Ryan know you're here. You will be reading next week. So thank you for that. Again, we are picking up momentum in this binge watch of our all collective lives, Alcoholics Anonymous in action. Doctor's opinion picking up steam. Let's see what the doctor is going to be talking about next week. I can't wait. And Ryan, take it.
Thank you. There's a lot of folks who helped make this meeting possible, and I want to start.